Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope your day has been very great. My name is Pastor Zedo A. Oladejo. I want to use this time to welcome you to this live broadcast. And with me here this evening is someone very special. He's the senior pastor of the Lost Portion Restorers, Lagos, Nigeria. He's my very own husband, the father of my 3 lovely girls and many spiritual children. And together this evening, we shall be discussing the topic, Discover Self. And so, with me here, Reverend Mark, you're welcome.
Yeah. Well, it should have been weekend tonic. However, we are just diversifying into other things as the Lord leads us now to bring your way. So good evening, everybody. Oladejo is my name. I remain your friend, your pastor, your brother, and brothers. Your spiritual father, as the case may be. Yeah, welcome to Discovery Series. It's a series that is broken down into 4 parts. Welcome to the first part.
So once again, I want to welcome everyone that have connected, that is joining us now for this live broadcast. And once again to Reverend Mark, it's nice to have you here.
Yeah,
and I'm so privileged and delighted to be co-hosting this program with you. I want to believe everyone out there, you're going to be blessed today.
Amen.
So without wasting much of our time,
Yeah.
let's start what we have on ground to discuss. Actually, I have noticed that a lot of people, they do things because they see other people doing it without first discovering who they really are. That is, without first discovering themselves. So, Reverend, can you please tell us about this topic, Discover Self? What is it all about?
All right, thank you, Pastor Zede. Well, it's a true thing that you've noticed. People sometimes want to be like other people. You want to be like someone else. You want to be like someone you admire. You want to be like a mentor. And or whatnot. But essentially, I feel that it's time that every individual need to become self discovery oriented, right? And I want to start from the passage of the scriptures, which is Exodus chapter 32 verse 13, where I stumbled into this text, been reading the scriptures, but I stumbled into this text that called my attention. That's Exodus 32 verse 13. It says, "Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self." Right? If God could have sworn by himself and not swearing by his names, it called my attention to that there must be something about self, So God sworn by himself. So I wonder why God did that and why he didn't swear by his names. He has many names. In the days of the Bible, you see people call him Jehovah Nissi by their experience of him. People call him Jehovah this, Jehovah that, by the experience they have. And God at different times have also disclosed to people, I am so. But in this, the Bible says he swore. When he wanted to swear, he had to swear by himself. So that's a critical thing. It tells me that there's something about self that is not your name, right? So I think, name is just an identity, right? Name is just an identity that can change with time. People's name change. You were Akinwumi, but marriage, right? So people's name change, and God's name also change. And so when God wanted to swear, he didn't swear by any of his name. He had to swear by himself. That self is critical in what we want to consider now. So yes, I know someone that had had an experience with God and had also called God Jehovah Action Movie. So that's a name the person gave to God because of an experience. But God now wanted to swear with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He now had to use self. And so I think there is something that we must begin to narrow down about self, not just the name. So name is not you. The you is the one important that we must begin to look at, and that's the self in you yourself.
Thank you very much, sir. So from what you have just said now, one thing is very, very clear, and that's the fact that self is critical.
Very, very vital.
So, how can we then, I'm sure a lot of people are watching this live broadcast now, and they actually want to know how they can discover themselves. So how can I, ZOA? Well, God has helped me a little bit, but for the benefit of those people that are watching us now, how can we discover ourselves?
Thank you, Pastor Zezo. I mean, obviously that's the bone of contention. That's the major focus in this aspect of the series. Discover self. But before we begin to discuss on self, let me expatiate some things very, very critically here. When we were doing philosophy in school, I remember, there's nobody that do maybe elementary philosophy, you start to study philosophy. There's no way you won't come across a philosopher called Socrates. Socrates happened to be a philosopher that said, man, know thyself. Right? And like I said in my preamble, if God could swear by himself, and this philosopher also called our attention that man, know thyself. I think it is very critical for every man to discover self. So before we go to, looking at how, which is not going to be anything far-fetched. Today I'm not going to give us 10 ways, 20 ways. No. We just want to streamline, how to discover self so that people can carry it along, so that it won't be difficult again henceforth. So I think one thing we must first discover in this world before it is too late, that everyone will discover, is self. Right? Before it is too late. Now, what to clarify before we go further? I want to clarify some things before we go further into how. And the things I want to clarify is, one, your habits are byproducts of yourself, but they are not really yourself. Your habits are just byproducts of yourself. They are not really yourself, because habits are practices that easily change. Right? Habits are practices that easily change. Like I said earlier, name changes. And God did not swear by name, by any of his name. He had to swear by himself. Because God also knows that name changes. So habits are byproducts, of ourselves, which we must now go to discover that self. Another thing I want to clarify here is that, self is that part of you that people don't know more than you know it. That part of you that people don't know. Sometimes people may just know your habits, but that part of you that people don't really know, but it's you that know that part more than self. Right? Another thing I want to clarify as we move ahead is self is the aspect of you that cannot stand alone. that aspect of you that can't stand alone but need other things or other people to stand upon. Why did I say that? Now, I realized that going through even dictionary meaning of the word self, I began to see that English word we call self. I began to see that it doesn't, most at times, it doesn't stand alone. It is either it's standing with a prefix or with a suffix. Either there is a word before it or there is a word after it. That's why you see myself. You see thyself. You see ourselves. You see yourself. You see, usually, or you see words like self-esteem. Self-ego, self-image. That word self, I realize that it always carry either a word before it or a word after it. There is always a prefix or a suffix. So in the long run, it doesn't really stand inside. So yourself is that part of you that cannot really exist alone. It has to depend on either other people or other things, and that's what we want to discover today. Another thing is that about self is that self is that aspect of you that people hardly will discover for you. Nobody will discover yourself for you. People can only think you are this or you are that. You are the one to discover that self. And lastly, before we go into the main thing that your heart, which is the main thing we're going to discuss. Discovering yourself is different from discovering your purpose. I must first say this in this first part of the series. Discovering yourself is quite different from discovering your purpose. Until you discover yourself first, you cannot know your purpose. So it is after you have discovered yourself, you can now begin to know your purpose. Your purpose is hidden behind that self. So you must discover self first before you begin to look at what are your purposes. Because the four aspects we're going to treat in this series, we're going to treat discovering yourself. We're going to treat discovering your purpose, which is next Saturday. We're going to treat discovering your world. It is when you have discovered your purpose, you can now discover your world, the world of opportunities around you. Then thereafter.
Thank you, Reverend Mark. But we have yet to address the first question that I asked.
Yeah.
Now we have a broad explanation of yourself, the background information about what self is all about.
Yeah.
But now, for me, and for everyone watching this live broadcast, we would like to know how we can discover ourselves.
All right.
People are out there who are yet to discover who they really are, and they need to do that. So how can we discover ourselves?
Thank you, Pastor Zedo. I will first want to say that people find it very difficult. It's always a difficult, appalling task. When you tell people you have to discover yourself, it's always looking like ambiguous. It's always looking at like an abstract. But self is not an abstract, right? So it's not ambiguous. That's why I want to really break it down. I want us to break it down today to how people can actually discover it. And the best way I have thought of, in bringing up this, treating this topic how is I want to break it down just in 4 ways with that 4-letter SELF, right? We shall be understanding how to discover self with those 4 letters so that people can carry on, so that we won't be discussing 10 things, 10 ways to discover yourself, 21 ways to do. No. Let's narrow it down to those 4-letter words.
Okay.
Self, which the first is, if you want to discover yourself, the first thing to discover is your strength. S.
Can everybody hear that? S stands for strength. Strength, okay?
Discover your strength. Now, let me tell you about your strength. Your strength can either be acquired or innate abilities that you develop, right? So you must first, now let me break it down. Strength, some people have strength in things they acquire, maybe knowledge, maybe educational acquisition. You have this certificate, you went to this Harvard University, you went to this private university, you went to that university, and you have that acumen, you have that educational strength, right? Yes, you can have strength like that. You can be a very strong person, by reason of what you acquire, the education you acquire. And you also, some people think education is only that because I'm not educated, I don't have my PhD, I don't have my master, they limit themselves, right? Your strength could be in what you have to develop, right? It could be those abilities that you have not developed, they are innate, right? And they are skills that you are not developing, they are talents. They are things that you know that you have, strong hold on. And when you do those things, you see that, wow, am I the one that did this? They are areas of strength. So you must begin to look at that. Your strength are your abilities and your they are not your attitude. So they are your abilities, not your attitude. Attitude can change. Attitudes are like habits, that can change. But strength are your abilities. Your strength also are things that gives you natural confidence. Things that naturally you just have this confidence in doing it. And when you are doing them, you are like, it's easy for you. Some other people may go to do all of those things and they find it very difficult. But you, once you are doing it, you are looking at why are people finding this thing difficult to do. This thing, I can just do it, and that's area of strength that you should be looking at. Your strengths are things people depend on apart from your money. Right? That is different from your money. Money will finish. Like my people, like the Bible also says that money has wings anyway. Money will finish. But there are some people, you see that they don't have money, but there is something you depend on in them. That thing that people depend on in you. It's not as if maybe you offer people money, you give people money every time, and people now begin to, they call you, they always with them. Don't be joyed. Don't let that one, make you happy, right? But you see, when you remove money, and you still see that some people cannot do without you, begin to discover what are those things that they cannot do. Though we don't have money, but they still need you. They still want you. They still want you around. They still want you to be the one to do this for them. But you don't have money to offer them. Yeah, begin to look into it. Those are strengths that you need to discover.
So we can look at, like the Reverend have said, strengths are those areas of our lives where we are very strong.
Yeah.
Take for instance, there are some people, they can talk from now till the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
That's an area of strength.
Yeah, there are people like that.
They can continue to talk and talk, and there are also some people
and
when problem comes.
Sorry to cut it. Some people waste that with care, just gist.
And there are some people that, assuming there's a problem now, they can analyze.
Yeah.
They can, the way they will analyze and the way they will bring about a solution to solve the problem, it's an area of strength.
Yeah.
And from what I've also learned from you now, that strength can be that thing that you do easily.
Yeah, you do it easily.
It can even be some of your innate abilities. Like you say, like a person like me, I know can I say I know I'm a go-getter.
Okay.
I'm a go-getter. When I have a goal ahead, I run after it with all my strength.
All right.
Because I believed in it.
Amen.
And once I don't believe in it anymore, I let go. But as much as I believe in this, I run after it.
That's strength.
That's strength.
Yeah, that's
It's
strength.
the part of my own strength. I don't know about you, but for me, I could be creative. Try to make things beautiful. I mean, we can look at it as strength. That thing that you just love to do without anybody forcing you to do it,
Yes.
and you just do it easily.
Yeah, your strengths are, are things that you do. Let me use the word without struggle.
Without struggle, yeah.
There are things you do easily without struggle. There are things that just come in you. People may struggle for it. People may find it difficult to do, but you do it stresslessly. Let's put it like that. Those are your strengths. You need to discover them. Your strength is that aspect of you that is called self.
Thank you, Reverend.
Yeah.
So, from this analysis of the self, we have been able to understand now that the S means strength.
Yeah.
So one way to discover ourselves is, number one, you
Discover
need to
yourself.
discover your strength.
Yeah.
That area where you are very strong. So you to look at yourself, look at your life, look at all the things that we have said, and look at that area, that thing that you have this ability, thing that you do stresslessly, thing that you just want to do without anybody forcing you to do it. Those are your area of strength. Then, Reverend, you said this discover self thing, we're looking at it from 4 different angles.
Yeah.
We've talked about the self,
S.
this S now,
Yeah.
which is a strength.
Yeah.
Then, what about the E?
All right. Now, the second way to discover yourself, that's why I said I'm going to break it down just in 4 ways. The E, which is the next letter to S, is eliminators.
Eliminators.
Now, begin to watch out for your eliminators. Usually people see their eliminators as their enemies. Sometimes people see their eliminators as things that they should run away from. But from today, I want to tell you, don't run from your eliminators. Right? Your eliminators are things that will help you to discover yourself. Naturally, people run from them. But I'll just tell you what I mean by eliminators. Things we run from. For instance, when you just have abrupt sack letter, people see it as the enemy has come. When you have loss of job, with what is going on now, it's sure some people will be confronted with sack letters, some people will be confronted with loss of job. They will see that maybe one enemy from my mother's side or father's side, they have come again. No.
It's COVID-19 eliminators. Yeah.
So eliminators are things that will help you to discover yourself. Right? Eliminators are also things or people that breaks you down deliberately or unconsciously. Things that breaks you down deliberately or unconsciously. They are eliminators. Now, let me tell you another thing about eliminators. Eliminators are things that remove your feathers. Like a chicken that is brought to its size after the feather has been removed. Right? So, eliminators are those things that remove your feathers. Okay, look at the chicken. If you buy a chicken now, you can see it is looking big. Right? But by the time you get home, they kill the chicken, and the next eliminator they will put the chicken in is hot water. Usually the chicken should run from hot water. But they put the chicken in hot water. Why? To eliminate and remove the feathers. That is when you now see the real chicken. That is the things that brings you to your size. Things that sizes you, that brings you to chips. Don't run from them. There are things that will help you to discover yourself. Like I mentioned, it brings you to your size. Like I mentioned, when they dethrone you, when they dethrone you or they degrade you, they degrade you, they bring you down. You have had, CEO, you have been head of department, and they now remove all of those feathers, and they now bring you to your size. Those are ways to discover yourself. But you see, usually people will say, my enemies have come. They see eliminators as enemies. So begin to watch out for all of those things that brings you down, that trims you down. They are good for you to discover yourself. Those things you do, that makes people not to need you anymore. They are eliminators. Things you do that will make people say, we don't need you anymore. They are eliminators. Begin to look inward. Those things are to help you discover something about your size or about yourself. It shouldn't break you down. It should move you up. If you move you forward, right? Don't brush those such things aside. Don't brush them under the carpet. Don't look at eliminators as it has finished for me. No. Eliminators are signs that you can start afresh. You can start afresh. Those negative, yes, I want to use the word. Those negative constructive criticism about you. They are your eliminators. Ask me, how do you know if a criticism is constructive? The best way I would say is that when you hear something about you from more than 2-3 people that don't even know themselves, and they are just giving you a feedback, there are some conduits of feedback. Eliminator is a conduit of feedback. So it feeds you back for you to know your size. But some people give up with that. It's not time to give up when you have eliminators around you.
Thank you, Reverend.
Yeah.
Thank you for that contribution or that analysis of the E. That's the eliminators. Actually, like you said, eliminators breaks you down. Yeah. And really, many people, they go through that process. I could share from that aspect of this that you just talked about. Yeah. Actually, when anyone is going through that kind of process, it's not easy because you will break down. There's no way we'll break down. Yeah. But you see, it doesn't end with just breaking down. Yeah. It's meant to
get the best out of you.
To get the best out of you. Yeah. I could share from that. I remember way back then when I was working in Learn IT. Yeah. I used to work in an organization then, one IT firm, and I had this boss that is always on my neck. Like it was like a tug of war. It was like, what kind of an environment is this? But see, for me, that was like a big thing there to break me down. Yep. Like even when finally I thought, okay, this is a place to be. And here is a boss that's always given the hell of a problem. But that helped me to discover, okay, if struggling with this guy is going to bring more problems, what are other things that are here that will add value to my life? Yeah. And it was at that point I began to do my certification exam. I began to learn. I began to take excellent CCNA and all that. And that added, if that man had not really been on my neck to break me down, there's no, if you remember way back then, there's no time I return back home, I'll be crying and be calling the name of this man.
But I will explain the issue of breaking down later. Yeah. But you see, the aspect of eliminator, sometimes people just look at you. They look at you as if there's nothing good about you. Right? Those are eliminators. People look at you and it's like you have nothing to offer. This organization, they are on you, they are on you, they are on you. They are eliminators. You think that they are, yes, they are, yeah. They may actually be looking for how to eliminate you out of that job, get you out of that office, or get you out of that position. But you see, don't brush eliminators' activities under the carpet. They are privileges to help you discover something about yourself, because there is something they are seeing in you are not seeing, or there is something about you that you are not seeing. You know, because I was still talking about, in one of the points, you know, there's something about you, you know, that they may not like. Even those things they don't like, it's a privilege for you to use those things to discover yourself. That's why I said when people are like, you know, constructive feedbacks are like conduit pipes, you know, that you need to discover yourself. Constructive feedback. When someone, some people could be destructive. You know, they just size you up. They destruct you, bring you to your size. Like I was talking about chicken. You remove the feathers. You remove all the feathers. Bring the chicken to the side. And that's how the chicken will now know, oh, okay, truly, so this is how I am. This is how I really look. That's the self.
But sorry to cut you, sir. But even if it's destructive, what we are trying to do is it can also help you
to discover yourself.
Because I've also been involved in such a scenario before, where I thought, at least the last work I did, where I thought, oh, this is the worst that has happened to my enemy. This is the worst. How will I bounce back? How will I get on my feet again? But see, if that have not, there's no way I would have done that. There are many other for one to do. I would have just been there sitting in my comfort zone and thinking that's the best that could have happened to me.
Enjoying the ride of drivers and co, you know, and you feel big man. You tell you HOT, HOD, HOD, so HO that, and you feel big man. You know, but without those things, you won't know that. You won't, without those eliminators, you won't know that. Oh, so you mean I can actually go to Dubai and be buying buying goods? Oh, really? So I can actually do this. You know, I mean, that's it. Retirement is an eliminator. Loss of job is an eliminator. They tell you, you know, the Jews suck the Jews in you and they throw the can, you know, to the dustbin. You know, and you feel, the enemy has come. And the witches say, no. It is. You know, so don't trash your eliminators. Your eliminators are doing big work. You should clap for your eliminators. I'm sorry to say.
No, it's not easy.
It's not
but
easy.
It's as an avenue
to discover
for us to discover ourselves.
Yes. When people brought you down, I mean, when these people they trim you down, they make you look as if you are nothing. It's opportunity. Never made anyone without something. There's something, there is an innate ability in every man, apart from the ones that people acquire, that is their strength. There is a strength in you that is innate. And without the eliminators, you won't discover them.
Thank you, Reverend. Right. So, for everyone watching this live broadcast, we've been able to discuss self. The S, which is the strength, the E, which is the eliminators.
That's right.
Now, the L. What is this L all about?
All right, thank you. I mean, before I mention the L, let me just let people know that I will make this session to be interactive. After we discuss the fourth one, then we will open the line so that you can call him if you have a question, or you can type it. You can send it to. You can type your question and send it to 081 80 14 54 38. Let me call it again. You can only send text to 081 80 14 5438. Send text only. Then you can call in on this landline 08055480253. I say it again. Call in 08055480253. In case the line is busy, then you can send a text to the first number I called. Thank you very much. Yeah, Pastor Zedwe, you asked me what is the third way to discover self. You know, like I said, I don't want people to be embodied with load you with 21 principles, 21 strategies to discover yourself. No. Just these 4 things. Let's narrow it down. The next thing, I've talked about S, which is your strength. I've talked about E, which is eliminators. Another way to discover yourself is L, your likes.
Likes.
Your likes are different from your strength. Right? You
Right.
don't acquire likes. Likes is in there. You can acquire strength, like I said. You can acquire certificate, go to Harvard, go to private university, acquire strength, and you become very strong, you know, in knowledge, you know, and you can develop those ones. But you see, your likes, they are things that matter to you among other things. Right? Things that matters to you among other things. Begin to look at them. Begin to, you know, take a track record of your likes. Those things that matter to you among other things. Begin to discover. Okay, like I have somebody very close to me. This person has very, very lucrative job, very good paying job. But this person also like to go online and you know, look at cars and buy cars. You know, bring in cars. The person know how to, you know, bring in cars and you know. And I was telling the person's wife recently. I said, please tell your husband. And I see that he likes, you know, just very good job, but he just likes, you know, go online, go out to, he knows how to buy cars, and he will bring them in. He will bring them in. He doesn't sell cars like that. You know, most of them he uses them. But I say those are areas that this person, even after retirement, this person can look into it because he has this flair for it. You know, so look at those areas of your life, the things, those things that catches your fancy. You know, some people, they don't know that it could be a thing that will, you know, that's you. You love it catches your fancy when you see, you know, when you see people that dresses nice, you like nice shoes, you like maybe you can look for money and invest into. I mean, take for instance, one of my sons used to like food. Not that he used to like, he likes food, right? And this my son, I remember, because he liked, everybody know him as someone that likes food. In fact, will you believe that he resigned from a banking job to go and start amala? Food business, amala. Because he liked food. You know, and I mean, that became, that name of his amala became, I mean, till date. I mean, he goes to occasion, he prepare fresh amala, warm hot amala, as in the hot. You know, I mean, these are likes. So check out for all these things you like. Some people like to, you like to tie gele. You don't know, you can make life out of it.
That's right.
You like to you just fancy to make hair.
Yes.
You don't know. I realized that my daughter, you know, love to make hair, love to, you know, just make hair, just play with. You know, I had to expose her, and she's getting the best out of it, out of her lights. Where she's discovering herself out of her lights. You know, so track down those things you like naturally. You know, track them down. Those are yourself. You know, those things you naturally place value on constantly. Those are your lives. You know, Discover yourself.
Thank you.
Look at your life. Those things that have become, recurring decimal, with your cravings. You crave for them. So I mean.
So like the Reverend have said,
Yeah.
that likes are those things that
You crave for.
you crave for.
Yeah.
Those things that interest you.
Yeah. Don't play with that.
Aha. Take for instance, I think I also know somebody that really loves to draw.
Mm.
She loves to draw.
Mm.
She loves, anything drawing,
Painting, artistic.
and all that.
Mm.
And I remember way back then that our parents wanted her to be a pharmacist.
Mm.
But you know that the interest,
Her likes.
her likes is not really. But because she wouldn't want to disobey or to do
parents.
something that will not make her parents to be happy.
Mm.
I mean, she actually went to study pharmacy.
Yeah.
But after all these years, train as a pharmacist, practice as a pharmacist, to my greatest surprise and to my greatest shock, last year or 2 years ago, when this lady was telling me, after almost 50 years, said, I have to go back to school because I want to start painting and drawing.
Nice.
I said, what? After over 50 years? But see, that's her likes. You can imagine if she had
went to
all
the
her
university
life.
again. I mean,
You can see.
went to
So you
OE.
will need to discover, and for all parents that may be watching this live broadcast,
yeah.
in case you see an area that your child,
Track it
please
down.
track it down,
Yeah.
encourage them, and back them up.
And
Don't say they have
Pastor Zedoy, while I was young too, like the person you are referring to, while I was young, my father discovered that I liked or I love to paint. I love to draw things. So I don't just there was a time I just picked one of my natives. I was very young, very, very young. I was just in my early teen years, and I removed all the threadings. I removed everything. I put them on new clothes, new Ankara. I cut them out myself because my mother had this sewing machine. I cut them out myself. And I sewed. I didn't learn it from anywhere. I didn't go to any school for it. But so in later years, that passion, because your likes are your passion. Those creative things I was passionate about, they started to bring in money for me.
Yes,
Carvings, painting, they started to bring in money for me. But it started from my likes. So my parents helped me. So
for everyone watching us, to discover yourself,
your likes.
one, you need to your strengths, and then your eliminators, and the next thing we've just finished talking about now, your likes. Those things that attract your interest. So look at everything and you'll be able to discover the final F. So what does this F stands for?
This F, it may surprise you. What this F I see it standing for is fence.
Fence. Is it a physical fence?
Either spiritual fence, physical fence. Now, let me say, fence is your limitations. Fences are your limitations. Those things that limit you. Right? Those things that breaks you down. Those things that, you want to go to the other side of life, but there are some fences. There are some barricades. There are those things that stop you, your stoppers. Right? And it's as if you cannot go to the other side of your pursuit. Those fences, don't just break them. Fences are there for you to look inward. Because, okay, let me say I am on this, okay, let me say this is a fence before me. It means I'm on this side. I want to cross to the other side. But this fence is standing there. Right? And why not look at this fence, this limitation, as okay, leave it. It could help you to look inward that okay, there is a carpenter in you. Fence can be, a sign that there is a carpenter in you that can now make a ladder for you to go higher the fence and climb to the other side that you want to get to. I mean, that's it. So fences will help you to discover yourself. It is not every fence that you should break with prayer. It is not every fence that was put there by your enemy. There are some fences, okay, who would say, who would say that, a person like Paul, if someone had totally told Saul that he would still become a missionary for Jesus Christ that he persecuted, until he hit a fence. When he came, in contact with a fence, it was then that his eyes got opened that there is a missionary in him for the same Jesus Christ he was persecuting. Right? So sometimes you will meet a fence. I mean, will somebody say it was witches or wizard or devil that put the fence there? No, it was God. There are some fences that God will put there purposely for you to look inward. Before you climb, there is a carpenter in you. You can now make that carpenter in you that you look inward will now help you to build a ladder. And after you make the ladder, you cannot get to the other side of the fence. So it's not every fence we break. There are fences that are there for you to look inward and discover what we call self. Right?
Thank you, Reverend.
All right.
I mean, I still talking about fence.
Yeah.
So we can look at fence like barriers,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Barriers.
Or limitation.
Limitations.
And I know even for people that have discovered themselves,
Yeah.
I know one major limitation is this issue of funding.
Mm-hmm.
I've known somebody that have been telling me since I want to leave the banking industry. Now more than 80 years.
Yeah.
Until I'm talking now, the person have not been able to leave. And but you will know that deep inside this person, it's not finding fulfillment again. But like the funding is like a fence, or a barrier or limitation.
Yeah.
So in such scenario,
Yeah.
how could people in such condition,
Okay.
how could they?
All right. You see, let me answer by saying that there are some fences that breaks you down, and nobody can have breakthrough without a breakdown. You cannot experience breakthrough without a breakdown, because it is the fence that breaks you down. You know, say, wow, it's stopping me. You see, don't limit yourself by no finance. I always tell people, Lot's portion started with 100,000 some 8 years ago. There was no money anywhere, but 100,000 put us on the move. So some people think until they have millions, and that's why I will refer you to the issue of skill that I treated last week. Go back to skill. You don't have to wait for millions before you explore the talents in you. Explore. There are people that God can send to you that will fund your ideas, but start from somewhere. I remember in those days when I was asking God, I was to leave my comfort zone to start the new work God said I should start. The Lord's Portion Restaurant Church. And I was telling God, where are the people? God told me, frankly, when you start to move, I said, where are the provisions? He said, when you take the decision, I will send the provision. So until I took the decision, the provision didn't come.
And just to add, if you don't if you remember,
Yeah.
way back then,
Yeah.
when I told you I have this passion,
Yeah.
I have this passion. I want to like start a nursery,
Yeah.
and
Crèche. Yeah.
and it was like, how are we gonna start? How am I gonna start and all that?
Yeah.
The fund was not there.
Yeah.
We could not. But you remember, it started from our guest room.
Yeah.
I could not continue to wait for money to come from anywhere. And I just have to take the risk from the guest room.
Yeah.
And like you said, you take the first step, and other things follow.
Yeah, the decision.
And to my greatest surprise, the first woman being that will bring her baby was a chronic Muslim.
Yeah.
Chronic Muslim, all covered.
A Muslim, can you imagine a Muslim bringing a child to a
reverend's house?
Pastor's house?
Trying not to allow this fence or the barrier to stop you.
Yeah, because the fence is to make you look inward.
Yeah.
There are some things you can start to do inwardly, and when you start, you're home. So don't be limited by your fences. Don't be limited.
And so from this discussion,
we can give in people to
discover ourselves.
Yeah.
We have seen that one, for us to discover ourselves, we could look at that 4-letter word.
Yeah.
The S, the E, the L, and the F.
Yeah.
The S is the strength.
Yeah.
And the E is our eliminators.
Yeah.
The L are those things that interest us, our likes.
Yeah.
And the F are the fence or fences.
Yeah.
Those things that looks like barriers and limitations to stop us from discovering who we are.
Yeah, we can begin to get questions in now. People can send in their questions. We'll be waiting to have your questions. And as we're waiting for your questions, the number is 081 80145438. Text message only. And for calling in, you want to call in, you can use 08055480253. And as you are waiting for your call or your text messages, you just keep expecting. Let me use this privilege to invite you to tomorrow's service too, which is going to be very interesting. And tomorrow we'll be talking about health is wealth in the mental perspective. Sometimes when you mention mental, people think you are saying they have problem upstairs, but it's more than that. So we'll be having a professional joining us tomorrow. We'll be discussing very interesting areas from 9:30. The service starts from 9:30 tomorrow. The series on health is well. Pastor Zedwe, I think essentially it's good for us to, let people know at this juncture that you don't have to let people discover. You don't need to wait until people discover who you are to you. Most of the times, people will know you by your habits. People may not even be interested in your abilities, right? And the best person that can help you out to discover who you really are, you are the one. You are the one. And if you don't do that, some people, they discover themselves when it's too late. When it's too late. But I want to think that it's essential for everyone listening to us to know that, it is never too late to discover yourself. Begin to do it now. Because before you can discover your purpose in life, you must first discover who are you. And when you know who you are, that's when you will know the capacity, the capacity you can carry. Because the self in you is what determines your capacity. Look at the Joseph's siblings when they went to Egypt, right?
Yeah.
Joseph wanted to give them grain. Joseph now told his servants, he said they should give them grain according to their capacity. And that capacity happened to be the vessel that each of them brought. Right? The vessel they brought, the container each of them brought. And they brought container according to their strength. Because the journey was far. And the container each of them, if this one was young, they gave him smaller container. If this one, even there were some of them that were elderly, that maybe they had smaller container too, but according to their strength. So God too will not load you beyond what you can carry. Right? So that's why I want to also tell people, begin to develop your capacity. It's essential. Develop, all of you that have been able, because some people have discovered themselves. I mean, let's talk about that. Some people have had the privilege to discover themselves. So to such people, I think I need to say this before when we wrap it up, that such people, what they need to do is to begin, as long as you have discovered yourself, begin to build your capacity.
Build your capacity.
Yeah, because it's essential. You will be given according to your capacity. And that was why Joseph told his servants, he said, give them grain according to what they can carry. So they gave them, served them according to their capacity. So it's essential. Begin to build your capacity now. You see, I learned this some years ago. I remember when I was still in my former place of service, former church, and I was telling people, the church at that time was due for us to break the walls and rebuild and expand. But people were looking at money. They were looking at the limitation of money. How are we going to get the money? And I said, at that time, the type of church we want to be now, we have so number, so capacity, And we were afraid of breaking the walls. And I said, such capacity will also help that we will have AC. We'll put looking at limitations. They were looking at the fences. But well, thank God for a few people that God, whipped around. That's why I say self cannot stand alone. It itself needs a prefix or a suffix, right? So thank God for a few suffixes or prefixes that around me that that I could lean on, and we moved ahead. So we increase the capacity. Can you believe that? As soon as we increase the capacity of a church, the people came to fill the capacity. So for those that have discovered themselves, I'm saying this to you: increase your capacity. Right? Increase your capacity so that God can bless you the more. And that is what I want to, bring to there.
And so I really want to appreciate all your contribution.
Yeah.
And on a final note, I want to go lighter now. I know that you're a preacher, you're a man of God with many years of experience. And I also know, being your wife, that as a young man, maybe you would have loved to be an accountant or somebody in the financial industry. How did you discover yourself? How did you discover yourself, one, at a very young age, and for you to be doing what you're doing now? Maybe we could just end it off on that to help whoever that is watching us now.
All right. Well, that's a very good question. Sincerely, I must start from the last point I made, which is the fences. I was able to discover myself because there were fences. While I was young, I wasn't a donor, but I will teach people, you know, and I will realize that we will sit for the same exam I teach people, and they make it and I don't make it. You know, they make it and I don't make it, and that ran for years. You know, so those fences made me to begin to first look inward, right? And in looking inward, I now begin to see that, you know, there were things I liked doing while I was young. So, looking inward, I saw those things I liked. Those things I liked translated into my strength. You know, I now began to build on them. You know, I began to build on them. So, I didn't make myself to become useless. You know, I was productive to myself. I discovered the creativity in me. I discovered the thing that helped me, even the creativity in me, and you know, those areas of strength that came out of me, you know, with my discovery, helped me to begin to get busy doing something to make something happen. In fact, I remember when I first got admission, you know, I remember that there was a money of one work I did then that helped me for I mean, semester or more than one semester to fund myself. You know, so I discovered myself first starting from fences. Those limitations came confronting me. Yeah, I used to think that there are some, yes, naturally when limitations come, fences come, you think that there are some enemies somewhere. Yeah, I'm not putting it aside that enemies don't put fence. Yeah, they do. They do. There are some spiritual fences that are not just natural fences. Those ones, you have to take care of them prayerfully. But you see, I don't want us to make everything to look and sound too spiritual, as if God is not concerned about you, as if God has no solution. No. Begin to look inward. Those fences help you to look inward so that you can see the grace that you carry. God never made you without grace. You carry a grace. You carry potentials. You bear. You are an image of God. You know. So as image of God, you should know that you are not useless. You are not an accident. You are not an incidental child. You know. You are a child of purpose. There is something you carry in yourself that you must discover. You know, don't let the world will not discover it for you. People will not discover it for you. You will discover it for yourself. You know, so don't put those. There are some fences, like I said, that you don't have to break. You know, just look at inward and see like I said, see the carpenter in you and build your ladder. And with your ladder, you will see that fence, you will be higher than the fence, and you will get over to the other side. You know, so those are my experiences, and the experiences that have lived with me. Anytime I see a fence, I know that there is something at the other side. So once I see a fence, and I mean, you know, the testimony we have as Lord's Portion people, and every Lord's Portion member can bear to this. You know, I mean, 2007, some people just came where we were using. They said we should go. There is always a difficult time. Once those fences come, I know there is something at the other side. And God built that small church. You know, that's a fanciful and good-looking auditorium for us within 3 months. You know, but without the fence came. But I mean, the first thing we did was we called our leaders and we sat down together and we looked inward. So looking inward, God saw that inwardly we saw that we had nothing, we needed millions, you know. But I mean, looking inward, God saw that yes, we looked inward and God came in.
And so for everyone watching this live broadcast, I want to believe that you have been blessed and you've been able to discover yourself from all that we have said.
That's right.
The time we are now, you will agree with me, is a trying time. Many people are being sacked already. Many people are even on the sack list already. There's so much uncertainty in the atmosphere. But one thing is sure, even if they say go, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You need to discover yourself and put all those points that we have raised here into action, and you will see that life doesn't end there.
Yeah.
There are many opportunities out there. We only need to discover ourselves so that we can also go after these opportunities.
Yeah.
I want to believe that you've been blessed this evening. And at the same time, I want to thank you, Reverend Mark, for co-hosting this program together this evening. I want to believe our people has been blessed and they will put into practice everything that have been said here this evening. We thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining
God
us.
bless you.
God bless you.
Until we see you again, stay safe and stay blessed.
Yeah.
Reverend Mark?
Well, God bless you. We look forward to having you connect with us again tomorrow as the service holds 9:30, and we have Mr. Omolabi Oladipupo all the way from UK. He will be connecting with us, and we're going to talk, very robustly on how our mental capacity also needs to carry us through this time, and how we need to be balanced mentally, to go through this time and to become champions. I look forward that you will be champions like we shall be in some few weeks after now, or some few months after now,
Jesus' name.
as the Lord permits.
Amen.
God be with you. May I pray for you today that God, in His infinite mercy, will give you that capacity to begin to discover yourself.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Everything you have lost in time past,
In
the Lord will
name
help
of
you to
Jesus.
get them back.
Amen.
There will be power of restoration resting on you.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Everything you will discover that
Yes,
you will
Lord.
discover else about yourself.
Yes.
The Lord will bring them into the channel and in the pipeline of productivity.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
You will become productive. You will become
Amen.
relevant.
Amen.
Your generation will know you for who you are.
Amen.
In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you.
In Jesus' name, we are praying.
Amen.
We look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.